new form of Jim Crow, similar to that that followed the Civil War. Studies have shown that between 1980 and 2008, the number of Americans incarcerated rose roughly 500,000 to 2.3 million, leading to America having 25% of the world's prisoners. A disproportionately large percentage of African Americans born between 1967 and 1989 are either incarcerated, on probation, or on parole at almost 6 times the rate of white Americans. More so by 2002, about 12% of African Americans in their 20s were incarcerated. This particular research focuses on the hip hop generation, and the hip hop generation is defined as those that was born between 1965 and 1984. And the reason that we're focused on that is because what the data shows is that these are the ones that's really been incarcerated at a higher rate, and we really want to try to understand the stigmas associated with that. Thus, a culturally sensitive perspective allows for the sharing of knowledge and understanding of this particular phenomenon, which we talk about now as incarceration, by placing Black Americans at the center of the inquiry. As stated by Gordon in 1997, racially and culturally sensitive paradigms are not new to social science because racially and culturally sensitive research challenged the notion of neutrality of knowledge. Therefore, this study aims to allow new perspectives on old issues that continue to keep the United States from becoming a truly culturally sensitive society. So there, to wrap that up again, the goal of this study is to provide an Afrocentric or Black American perspective on stigmas associated with incarceration as a product of the new Jim Crow or mass incarceration. When I say Black American, I am really making sure that I'm being very specific. As part of this study, I would not be studying other members of the African diaspora. Those in the Caribbean would not be included in this study. Haitian Americans would not be included in the study. Only Black-born Americans from urban communities will be studied. Previous research has been done at a distance within a U.S.-centric or white paradigm where Black Americans are the subject as it relates to incarceration and the stigmas associated with that. I shortly will be discussing Afrocentric theory, which focuses and asks for the research to be centered on Black Americans, which is different than previous research. So, that being said, the statement of problem: Black Americans born between 1965 and 1984, also known within the Black American culture as a hip-hop generation, are incarcerated at an abnormally high rate. Today, Black Americans constitute roughly 12.8% of the U.S. population. Mindful of seeing how we had about 2.3, so that's a very high number. As a result, Black Americans constitute about 1 million of the 2.3 million incarcerated in the United States. Thus, 1 in 6 Black Americans is incarcerated. This study is looking at both Black males and Black women as far as the incarceration rates, so neither sex is being taken out. The high incarceration rate of Black Americans has a pervasive and chronic negative stigmas regarding the social and economic validity of the Black American community, such as democratic participation, violence within urban communities, to name a few of the stigmas that this points to. More so, as pointed out by Foreman Jr. in 2012, some of the negative effects of systemic racism of Black Americans born into the hip-hop generation have been convicted, include the inability of public assistance programs, i.e. health care, food stamps, public housing, student loans, etc., and some employment opportunities. As a result, due to many of the individuals suffering from the stigma of incarceration already come from backgrounds of disadvantage, i.e. single-parent homes, low income, poor housing, etc. The system makes it more likely for the convicted to become, quote, a member of the stigmatized caste, condemned to a lifelong second-class citizenship, which comes from Alexander 2012. Therefore, the research question is, how have the stigmas associated with mass incarceration reduced political and economic opportunities for Black Americans born between 1965 and 1984 from an Afrocentric perspective? The research designed for this study would be Afrocentric theory. Afrocentric theory through an anemic approach. Afrocentric theory Again, as stated shortly ago, asked for the research to be centered on African Americans. Specifically, this theory comes from Asante, and he defined Afrocentric theory as a mode of thought and action whereby African interests, values, and perceptives predominate. Consequently, research that focuses on the Black American experience in the United States and the world is Afrocentric. When Afrocentrism is used as a theory, as is being done in this proposed dissertation, those of African descent are at the center of the phenomenon being evaluated.